Okay, so let's try and examine the hidden mechanics of Twitter to understand turf wars, and let's try and break it down. Every time I start talking about Twitter, take some of it with a grain of salt. Why? I'm not an expert. I'm figuring out Twitter as I go, and there are layers of Twitter, there are layers of nuance on Twitter that I haven't fully processed yet. So, for example, I'll give you something that happened on Twitter, and then there was a little dust-up with our friend the Dry Apologist on Twitter yesterday with movies. And he seemed genuinely, why are they challenging my movie choices? What on earth is going on here? And I totally understand why he seemed a little bit like, huh? Why did this get retweeted? And why is everybody discussing this? And let's examine the mechanics of it and see if we can't piece it together. Now, keep in mind, I'm doing this off the top of my head, and this is just what I've observed in the moment, and I'm not a Twitter expert. A lot of hidden mechanics of Twitter that I don't fully understand yet. But let me give you an example. Once upon a time, about a week ago, Telltale Atheist was asking the Twitter community, he was considering moving to Sheepshead Bay, and he asked anybody if they knew about New York. Now, I know New York a little. Why? Because I grew up outside of New York City. Most of my friends had apartments in New York City, a la Flatbush Avenue, Astoria, Queens, and Chelsea. And for about 5 years after college, I'd spend 3 days with my friends at Chelsea, stay in there, crash in their apartment for 3 days. I'd go to the house in Flatbush Avenue, stay there for 5 days, hang out with them. You know, basically stay there drinking for 4 or 5 days, more or less. Do some other things than drinking. Yeah, okay, yeah, some things, but not really all that much, other than just drinking with my friends for 4 or 5 straight days. That seems really unproductive, Craig. Well, whatever. 22 years old, 23 years, what do you want from me? So I gave him some information about New York. I was going off the top of my head based on things I know. Somebody shows up, Jen Aldrich is her name, okay, who legitimately knows New York City, obviously lived there. Why? Because the information she was given was totally legitimate. I recognized it immediately. You can't fake it. You cannot fake it. I know New York well enough to know when somebody is laying down legitimate information about New York City. Obviously she lived there. Why? Because some of the details you can't fake. Now, why was she telling it to him? She could have been one or two reasons. One, she actually read what he was asking and was trying to help him because she'd been to New York. Or two, I don't know how maybe she could have been trying to one-up me. I don't think she was, but that could have been the case. Now, I didn't get into a pointless conflict with her on Twitter. Did you hear me say I got into a feud with her? No. Why? Because I recognized immediately that she knew more about New York than I did, and I yielded the territory. Yeah, that information is legitimate. This girl knows New York better than I do. It's obvious. Obvious from the info. You can't fake that. And I only found out a couple of days after the fact that she's actually pretty high up in the atheist community. I had no idea. No idea. She's actually a known entity. She's broadcast on Atheist Experience and... now, Telltale Atheist is legitimately a cool guy. I like him. He's never given me a hard time. He's never given me a problem. If he had grown up in the suburbs where I grew up, he'd be a really cool guy. He'd be a record producer or something. You can't, because he had to process it through being raised a Jehovah's Witness. And honestly, they ruined something for him. It's hard to explain exactly what. I bet he'd be able to tell me in person exactly how that works. But they stole something from him. Some of the stuff that he starts trying to talk about, he's talking about it after the fact. He didn't live it. Why? Because he was busy being raised by Jehovah's Witnesses, and they kind of robbed him of something essential. If he were raised in the suburbs like I were raised, given his personality, he's pretty cool, pretty good-looking guy, intelligent to the point of... probably really intelligent. I'm guessing really intelligent. I don't know. It's hard to tell, but... So, if he had been raised the way I were raised, he'd probably be working in the music industry as a producer, and he'd be making, you know, $300 grand a year. He might be making that now. I don't know what a YouTube channel pulls in. I have no idea the economics. But if he were raised the way I were raised, I could easily see him have gotten somewhere really quickly. Why? Because he's got all the ingredients, right? but he's trying to process it after the fact. So she steps in, she starts laying down knowledge about New York. Obviously, the girl knows what she's talking about. Maybe she's just doing it to have a turf war with me. Show me who knows more about New York. Did I tell you that I got into a turf war with this person? No. Why? Because I immediately recognized that she knew what she was talking about. So, if you were going to get in a turf war with somebody, here's the rule of the road. Either they know what they're talking about, or you know what they're talking about, or you know what you're talking about. One of you knows what they are talking about. Correct? If you are about to debate somebody, it doesn't matter on what subject. This is a rule of the road. You can apply this knowledge anywhere under the sun. You go anywhere and this will work. She knew what she was talking about. So one of us, between the two, actually knew New York better than the other. I, knowing it not as well as her, immediately recognized that she knew it better than me, so I shut my mouth and learned from her. It's that simple. So no turf war needs to happen. Why? Because I know she knows more than I do. I can tell by the details she's laying down. Another person might have gone, well, you don't really know because they're an idiot. I'm not an idiot. That would have been a really idiotic thing to do. She would have made you look like an idiot. You know, I don't think she was doing it to one-up me. I really don't. I think she was trying to help him. But her information was 100% legitimate. I recognized me. I was going off, you know, kind of, yeah, Sheepshead Bay is probably really far in the, I don't even know if it's on the 6th, right there. Not sure if it's on the 6th. I can tell you the 6th goes from Grand Central Station to St. Mark's Place. Why? Because I took it 1,000 times in my life. Couple details about New York. I can tell you my sleep. Why? Because I go there. Hang out in bars in the East Village. I can tell you the bars by name. You can go check if those bars are, most of those bars are still there. Blue and Gold. Blue and Gold's probably still there. 7B. 7B's probably still there. 7B was the coolest place in the East Village. 7B was the legitimately cool bar that all the cool guys know is a cool bar. Legitimately is. A really cool place. It's just a hangout for punk rockers. It's not a place that a poser would go to. It's just a hangout for punk rockers. It's just a local bar, but all the people there are like in punk bands, and I swear to God, go to the East Village right now, go to 7B, it's probably still there, look it up, Google it. Google it. How do you know it's a legitimately cool place? Because it's not announcing itself as cool. It's just there. It's where the actual people in the know go to hang out. That's why it's legitimately cool. The place that's announcing itself as cool may be cool for a year or two, and then people move on. Why? Because only posers go to those places. Only posers go to those places. They're trying to demonstrate how cool they are, and only an idiot does that. A legitimately cool person plays it like Johnny Cash. Does Johnny Cash go around telling people he's cool? No. Why? Doesn't have to. Doesn't have to. He's authentic and everybody recognizes him immediately. Why? The real deal gets recognized immediately. The real deal does not announce itself as the real deal. Duh. Duh. Cool 101. Duh, duh, duh. Now, why am I talking about cool? Because if Telltale Atheists were raised the way I was raised, he'd legitimately be the coolest guy in town. As it is, he was raised by virtue of being Jehovah's Witness, and they mess with his signal processing, so he's cool by after the fact. He's trying to figure it out. It's hard to explain. Let's put that aside for now. So, what happened? Moving right along. This isn't the important stuff, so this isn't important stuff. Move right along. You don't take issue with anything I said. Why? I'm just talking off the top of my head. These are just notes. Just notes. You can dispute probably everything I just told you. Don't. Why? It's not necessary. These are just notes. Just conversating. Now, moving right along. Where am I going with this? Okay, so our little friend, Dry Apologist, got into a Twitter dust-up yesterday, and we're analyzing the mechanics. Now, it's possible that some of them were trying to smack you around ahead of time because they know that your argumentations are strong. I doubt that, but that is possible. Why do I doubt that? Because I doubt they're that dumb that they think that they can get inside your head by Twitter. You can't. Twitter doesn't work like that. You can't rattle someone's cage in Twitter and, you know, throw them off of their building. Or I don't know. Maybe some of them were trying to smack you around ahead of time, you know. The other possibility is that there were mythicists in the genuine mythicists, or one of them seemed like a real mythicist, so he's actually challenging that, you know, that the movie you said about the Lord is real history. That somebody said that, so maybe one of them's a mythicist. Where I'm going with this ultimately is do not waste your time getting involved in Twitter feuds. Why? Only one of you knows what you're talking about. Correct? In a Twitter feud, doesn't matter who you are. One of you knows what you're talking about, the other one doesn't. The one who doesn't know doesn't know the subject as well should shut their mouth and listen. If you had appropriate humility, you'd recognize that immediately. You don't have to be very humble. I'm not very humble. I'm just humble enough to know when I should be quiet because the person knows it better than me. That's a basic of humility. And I get that immediately. If you have trouble with that, Twitter's trying to school you straight. Only one of you knows the subject better. First of all, you shouldn't be wasting your time in a Twitter feud. Second of all, you should not be involved in a Twitter feud at all. If you're involved in a Twitter feud at all, unless they pounced on you for no reason like they did the poor little Dry Apologist. Poor little Dry Apologist. He wasn't trying to hurt anybody. They took his tweet. He wasn't laying it down on somebody else's feed. He was talking to us. He was talking to his family. You know, here, guy, and I answered him in the spirit of fun. Here's my choices. You know, I thought it was going to be fun. And some atheist grabbed it and said, you know, scoff, scoff, scoff. Why the scoff, scoff, scoff? Not really sure. Some of your choices are inexpert. Some of your choices are highly debatable. For example, okay, this is weird, but this is true. For example, Ron shows up. Yeah, little Ron from Arkansas. I swear to God. Little Ron from Arkansas shows up and lays down two pieces of information that are legitimate information. Okay, the two movies that he cited, Seventh Seal and Seven Samurai, are generally considered by cineasts and people who know film as two of the best movies ever made. Okay? Okay, generally considered. Not I, Craig, consider them two of the best movies ever made. Only one, the one I really truly like is Seven Samurai. The one I kind of appreciate but don't really truly like is Seventh Seal. I appreciate it. It's good. It's Bergman. It's supposed to be a classic. You know, I watched it a few times, a long time ago. Why eat vegetables? This is supposed to be good for you. You're supposed to understand why this is important. Watch this movie. I don't get it. It's a little boring. It's a little slow. Shut up. Eat your vegetables. That's why I watched it. That's exactly why I watched it, because I knew its reputation and I know Bergman's record. Bergman is, you know, he's not overrated, because that makes me sound like an idiot. He's not overrated, but I don't really enjoy him all that much. You know, Bergman by way of Woody Allen, no, I can't stand it. Woody Allen, no, never mind. Leave that for another day. Someday I'll go into in-depth how, never mind. Never mind. Forget I said that. Scratch that. Again, these are my notes. You hear how I'm polishing in real time? So Ron lays down two legitimate pieces of information that he probably took a college-level film class, I'm guessing, or he's got an uncle who really knows film. I don't know how he'd come upon that information otherwise, or he really loves movies. There's no other way to come upon that information. So he lays down two things that are, did you see anybody grab his tweet and go, ha, 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 you're an idiot? No, why? Because they didn't know what he was talking about, probably. Atheists think they're the smartest kids in town. I swear to God, they think they're the smartest kids in town. A lot of them don't even know basics about anything. Most of them know jack diddly squat about anything. Huge chunk of them. The ones that don't, there are exceptions. The ones that know what they're talking about or are intelligent and talented, usually you'll hear me mention them by name. Why? Because I've done the lay of the land. I know who they are. Telltale Atheisrs, for example. Guy's legitimately talented. Legitimately talented. He's better at building a YouTube channel than I am, that's for sure. Your YouTube channel sucks, guys. Shut up. No, it doesn't. It's by design. Shut up. It's a lot better. All right. Everyone calm down. Did I set myself up for that? Yeah, pretty much. All right, whatever. Yes, he's better, much better YouTube channel than I have. In terms of whatever, polish, production, you know, did his thumbnails right, all that crap. He does that well. He does that well. A lot of those guys do that stuff really well. If you want, Stephanie, you should be studying them on, if you want to build your channel the way they build their channel. A lot of them really understand the mechanics they talk about in their spare time. I've listened in on those chats. I don't have time to waste doing the stuff. They're right. Their information is legitimate. But I don't have time to waste. I'm not interested in building my channel just yet. At some point in the future, I am going to do those mechanical parts correctly, but I can, honest to God, hire somebody to do it for me. That's what I'm anticipating. I'm hiring Telltale Atheists to do it for me. Why? Because I don't really want to figure it out for myself. First of all, I don't have the talent for it. Readily admit that. That's not my strong suit, so why waste my time on it? I won't. Second of all, I can hire someone to do it for me. Do it better than I could. So why even think about it right now? The stuff that I'm telling you right now, the legitimate information coming out of my mouth, you can't get anywhere else. Why? I'm the only one who knows it. Isn't that interesting? I'm the only one who knows it. And the rhythm, the presentation style that I'm starting to get down is unique to me, is it not? Do I have a weird kind of funky, kind of what on earth is he doing kind of style of presenting YouTube videos that like immediately throws you as what is he trying to say? What, doesn't he realize people are looking at these things? Yeah, I do. I really do. And I only care about who's listening to me talk right now. I don't care about the what the stupid thumbnails look like or whatever. Why? I don't got time for that crap. You know, I can hire somebody like Telltale Atheists a year from now I'll hire Telltale Atheists and he'll polish it up and it'll be good. Right now I don't have time to waste on that crap. Why? Because what I'm talking to you about right now is the legitimate heart and soul of my channel. It's the only thing that's important to me is what I'm saying to you. That's it. That's the only thing I care about right now. The polish, that's not the real thing. I don't care about that. So, where was I? Why did he get into a Twitter feud? So, Ron lays down 2 pieces of real information about movies. Some of your information about movies is suspect. Some of your choices, I was deeply suspicious of myself. I wasn't trying to challenge you. I'm not trying to challenge you. It's just, you know, some of the comedy, that's the best comedy. Have you seen Monty Python and the Holy Grail? Hello, have you seen it? Have you seen it? Have you seen it? No, and you didn't even see Schindler's List. So be quiet, triapologist. You haven't even seen Schindler's List. Dude, Schindler's List is a masterpiece. Schindler's List, people are underrated. Why do people underrate it? Because it's Steven Spielberg. So legitimately, I think they underrate it because he tries to tack a happy ending on the end. And everyone's like, what on earth are you doing? I swear to God, go watch the movie. I swear to God, the ending, he tries to fakely put a happy ending on a Holocaust movie. I swear to God, go watch it. Everyone watches this totally like, that movie is so powerful. This is real information in real time from my real life. I swear to God, this is true. That movie is so powerful, okay? I saw that movie in the movie theater with my girlfriend at the time who was Jewish. Hello? Come again? Yeah. Who was Jewish. Meaningfully Jewish. She worked for a Jewish newspaper in New York City. She was an editor for a Jewish newspaper in New York City. Graduated from an Ivy League school. Really smart girl. Kind of pretty. Obviously pretty. Why? She's my girlfriend. Pretty. My girlfriend, she was pretty. She was Jewish. She was culturally Jewish, so much a part of her identity that she actually was an editor for a Jewish newspaper in New York City. That girl was shattered. That girl was shattered at the end of that movie. She couldn't process information in real time. Honest to God. Honest to God. For 20 minutes after that movie, you couldn't talk to her. At least 20 minutes. She couldn't talk. And she got mad at me. She was like, I can't talk about like camera angles and things like that. That's what she said to me word for word. She was shattered by that film. Why? Because of the details. And she explained it. There's one scene where they pan past, they're counting shoes. Okay, and there's a big, huge pile of shoes. She's like, you don't understand. In Hebrew school, I looked at photos of that. Okay, so there's real artistry at play. The liquidation of the ghetto scene in that movie is a masterpiece unto itself. It's worth, just that scene alone is worth studying. So, Ron probably went to college, took a course to study film. Why? Because he came up with the 2 legitimate answers. If you Google one of the best movies of all time, those 2 films will probably be in the top 10, at least the top 20. Schindler's List will probably be in the top 10. Historical drama, I think it's the best historical drama, hands down. I don't think anything's even close. Why? By virtue of what I just told you. Honest to God, brought a Jewish girl to see that movie. She couldn't even talk when it was over. I promise that's true. She couldn't even talk. We got into a fight that night. Why? Because she started getting mad I was respectful of her being shattered by the film for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then I was a little bit like, okay, it's a movie. Let's get over it and move on. It's still a movie. You do recognize that, right? You don't understand. Yeah, I understand, but it is a movie. Can we move on, please? That's probably why. I don't remember the mechanics of the fight, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's what happened. So, what am I trying to say? First of all, never waste your time in a Twitter feud. Never. Why? Because some of this is politics, 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 some of this is politics. Did I say that enough times? I'll say that enough times that some of you will actually truly understand that. Because some of this is politics. And when you're in a Twitter feud, you are spending political capital unnecessarily. I immediately recognized, why I started with the story I started with, promise. I immediately recognized who knew more about New York City, me or Jen Aldrich. She does. Why? She lived there. I've hung out in New York City a lot. She lived in Brooklyn, or I don't forget where she said she lived, but it's really obvious that she lived there. Why? Because her information was